Hi, today I'm doing a different style of video. I've never done this before, but I want to do a tutorial and talk about UVs. A disclaimer before this video, I'm not a professional and this workflow is not 100% set on what you should do, but this is a tutorial on what I know, how to do it and how to apply it, and this should be useful for many people. This is a little bit of what I learned in university and what I learned by myself. To begin with, what is UVs? And it is a simple thing. It is a representation of a 3D object in 2D space, and it is mostly used for texture purposes, but also could have other purposes as well. To begin, I will create a cube in Maya. Of course, you can use other softwares for this, but I'm working in Maya, so I will show how I do UVs in Maya. When I create a cube in Maya, it already has UVs. To see them, you go to UVs and UV editor, and here already you can see the UV. I'm pressing right click on my mouse and I will select face. When I select this face, I will make this window smaller. When I select this face, in here, in the viewport, this face is selected. So if I apply a texture, I can see that if I paint something in this place, in this space here, I will see something drawn here. Let me show you. So in Paint right now, I have a square 128 times 128 pixels. And right now, I can just draw anything here, like a smiley. I will save this as a PNG because Maya wants PNG images. So I saved it on my disk. I know where it is. Let's go back to Maya. I will press on the cube, right click, and go to Material Attributes. In the color, I am selecting the square here and choosing a file on my disk. And I now I will find the file. So I applied the file, and here you can see that the image has a smile here. To confirm this, let's select the cube again. You can see that the smile is on the UV. Let's select object mode. Then to see this, I am pressing A6 on my keyboard, and here is the smile. This is how basically the UVs work. If you want to move them, you can do that. For this object, I don't recommend changing UVs in any way, but you can rotate them by selecting all of the UVs and pressing the right click to open this menu on the mouse. UV, then pressing the E button on the keyboard to rotate. You can press J on the keyboard and snap by degrees to have an exactly 180 degrees change, and it is on a different square right now. So it is not difficult of an concept, but let's move on to a more difficult object so I can show you how to do proper UVs for a character. Here I have a project that I'm working on, and I actually did UVs for all of the objects, but I want to change the body, and it is a great opportunity for me to show you how I do UVs for a character this way. To begin with, I am pressing Ctrl+1 on my keyboard to make this object alone in the scene. Other things are still in the scene, but they're hidden. And I will go to UV editor. Here you can see UV shells already done, but for the sake of this video and for the sake of doing everything from scratch, I will remove everything. Let's say your model doesn't have any UVs, and where should you start? Of course you can create automatic UVs, but there are a lot of issues with that. If I do that and I look at the UVs when I select checkerboard, they are weird. And you may ask, what do I mean by that? So the idea when creating UVs is to create as little of the edges as possible. This has a lot of cuts and edges in a place where it will be visible on the chest, on the arm, like here. The white line represents the cut in the UVs, like on the front of the leg, then on the face, on the forehead, on the cheeks, and I don't want to do that. And of course, I can work on this by selecting edges and connecting them, and then making a bigger shell, not separate shells. But that is a lot of work, and I believe I have a better workflow for that. So let's undo. I'm pressing Ctrl Z. As you can see, the model doesn't have any UVs when I select a checkerboard. And let's just create in the UV editor a camera-based UVs. And from here, I will be cutting the UV from the body. Right now, this looks pretty good, right? But the issue is that places like here are horrible. If I apply a texture right now, it will look weird. Of course, if the object is one color, you don't really need to worry about this. But in reality, you will need to have a good UV every single time. So where do I begin? As I mentioned before, the idea is to cut where it will not be visible at all or least visible if possible. So I will lower the I will minimize this window of UV editor. It is right here in the bottom. If I need to, I can always make it bigger and look at the UV. But right now I don't need to look at the UV at all, but I want to see the squares so I can cut them. So let's minimize this. And right now I will right click on the mouse and select edge mode. For this character, for any character really, the back should be the place where I cut the model. And I will do here as well. So let's select first edge where I want to cut. This character will not be seen naked, so I can easily select from here to the head, and to select this, I know that I have a face. I have here until like here, so I can easily select this edge, and I will select by pressing Shift and double clicking this edge. And here you can see that this whole edge went through the whole back, and I can cut in the UV editor right now, but I am not done cutting, and I can select other edges as well, so I don't need to open this window many times to cut. Now I know that the neck should be separate from the head as a shell because they have different shapes. This is a cylinder and this is kind of a sphere. And for this one, I will select this edge here. I am holding shift and double clicking this edge. And you can see that it went all around here. For the sake of having a symmetry, I will actually choose object symmetry. So I don't need to select edges, like select this edge and go to this edge and rotate as much. I can just select this and this, double click, and this will be selected as well. Now I can select this edge here and double click it, and it will go around here. Now I can actually go to here and I will have the neck as its separate shell, and I am thinking to select this edge here and this edge here and also this edge here. Now then this is done, I have to separate the arm from the body, and the best spot is the armpit. And as I said before, there is no uniform way to do UVs for every model, and I will select this one because I like it this way. There is no actual reason why. I can select this one. It will go around the arm as well. I could select this one, but I believe this is the worst one. So I selected this one. I'm holding shift again to not lose these edges. Shift and double click, and I can select this one again. Shift click and the whole thing is selected. Now the arm is a separate shell. Now the idea is to separate the palm from the whole arm. Then yet again shift, double click, and this is separated. Not separated yet, but it will be separated. Now, to separate the legs from the body, I believe I'll just select this edge here. And then this edge here. Because this is where the leg ultimately connects to the body. And the leg is separated. I don't have the foot here, but I would actually cut around here to separate the foot from the leg. These are the main big cuts which I make. This is not finished yet, of course, but it is a nice beginning. I'm going back to UV editor. I press F to find my model. I hold Shift and press right click with the mouse, and I press cut. So now if I select in the viewport, right click, I select UV and shell mode, you can see that the head, the neck, the body, both of the arms, the palm, and the legs are separated. However, this is not done, and I will demonstrate you why. To complete a UV, you need to unfold it. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's select a neck. I select a neck, a UV shell of the neck, and right now you can see how it is not looking great. It has to have a similar checker form as the body, but it is stretched and doesn't look nice. In the UV editor, there is an option to unfold. Again, I'm pressing shift and right click in the UV editor, and I go to unfold and just again unfold. Now you can see that UV here changed, and now you can see that it looks better, but something is still not right. Let's select a UV shell mode in the UV editor. Select this. I'm pressing W key for move, and just dragging it here. And what I actually do for a real unfold, I select, right click in the UV editor and UV mode, select every UV in here, shift right click and do the unfold again. Now it unfolded yet again, and this is actually looking good. Here is an issue still. I'm rotating this UV shell so it is a little bit more straight. Now I'm focusing on it, and you can see that, let's rotate the body here, and you can see that this square, like right here, is not really a nice shape, but is a little bit wonky. And the reason for that is that the neck in the middle, it has less volume than the neck here, and it stretches a lot. And for that reason, this neck doesn't look, the UV on the neck doesn't look as nice as it could. I will say this again. There is no uniform way to do UVs, and I will show you two ways how I would approach this here. I could just select these faces. I'm pressing Q to remove, to go from move to select mode. I'm pressing on this edge here, shift selecting, shift double click on this edge, shift select, shift double click here, and this would be cut out. And I will do that here. Shift right click, cut. Now I will select both of these shells because these are two different shells. Let's select UV mode, select everything, then shift right click, unfold, unfold. And now you can see that the neck deformed yet again. Let's double click, move mode, move this away so it doesn't overlap. And let's see how this looks now. If you look at the squares, they look way better. But still, it is not as good as it could be. So right now I can see that this UV is actually a little bit too deformed for my liking. And the most issue is the difference between the length of this edge right here to this edge right here. And so the UV tries to shape itself in a weird way to compensate for that. So because of that, I believe I have to select this edge here and cut it. And now, if I select UV and unfold it, it will look a lot more straight. And it is not deformed as it was before. What I believe I need to do yet again is actually select this edge here, and then it goes all around here, and cut it here, and then select this again and unfold it. And I do unfold many times until I like the result. I need to connect this to the main body. So I will just double click here, actually select this edge here, and when I want to connect them, you can sew or stitch together. Right now, this is far away from here, and I recommend stitching it together, which means it just teleports there. I can showcase that, and it is deformed because this was not unfolded yet. So now I have neck, and I have these parts here, which, to be honest, should be connected in some way. And I believe, let's just reconnect them here, and just maybe let's For the sake of moving these apart, I'm removing the symmetry, selecting this, moving this straight here. For this one to have more space, just move here, symmetry, object X. Now I can select here, shift, double click, and then stitch together. Right now, it is too deformed for my liking. So let's unfold. And it is more deformed again. I'm rotating it. Of course, you can fix that. And I am intending to do that. In reality, this part here under the chin is not usually visible in anything because you don't usually look from this angle here. Maybe sometimes there is an angle. So I am feeling comfortable to cutting it here, at least for my character. Of course, if you don't want that, you can partially cut it. Maybe here. But I'm comfortable with doing that and just cut. And I'll just unfold. And you can see that these are going on each other and you can't move them apart. And that's because the symmetry is on. To move them apart and have the symmetry, you can, in the UV toolkit, arrange and layout, you can unstack shells and they move apart. And now they are not equal, but they are not just placed in a random spot. And now I believe this is better. I can unfold again. I can actually do this. Well, it is a really weird spot. Maybe like cut in a place like this. And that could change a lot. You see it opens here. And you really need to play around with your character to have a complete UV. But for the sake of demonstration, I will move on to other places to not show like little nitpicky spots. From now on, I will move a little bit quicker and focus on bigger cuts and where I do them. So like for the neck, you can actually connect these, cut in various different ways. For me, this is good enough. And let's move on to the head. Because here there are a lot of cuts that you need to do to fix it. Unfold. I showed you how to unfold multiple times already, so you can try to remember that because you will need to do that. And already this looks pretty good. You see the squares not matching? Well, that's normal and it should be like that. But what's not normal is that this square is way smaller than these ones. And you need to cut the model in a way to open it. And for the squares to be more similar to each other. I know my model has here and I can easily cut it here. And this will allow it to unfold in a better manner. And now you can see that these squares are a little bit better than before. What I actually think you should do, and not end with this, but actually you can cut one more, and that will allow for a way better result. Now, when you have it cut like right there, I will cut around the ear because it has to be a separate shell, and it like here you can see the whole ear is compacted into a little space, but it has a lot of volume actually. So let's select, where do I want to select it? Well, I can select it right next to the ear or one face from the ear. It is an annoying thing to say, but there is no one uniform space where you should collect. It's where you like it and where it makes sense to do. So let's cut this out. I like moving the shells away that are not in the head and then work on them later when I'm done. The eyes, well, there's a lot of volume in the eyes and they are compacted here. When I cut them out, there will be a change in these squares here. You will see that. I will press 3 to see a change. And I think this one is the right one to do. We'll cut this. And I believe that I can safely do another cut. It should be like here. I don't want it to be on the eyebrow top, but below the eyebrow. You don't have to do this, but I will do this for my character. Then can move these away as well. We are not done, but I can do that. Now the mouth as well. I will double click this and I will double click this and this. Maybe actually, yeah, let's do that. Cut here and symmetry is on, so this side is selected as well. I want to separate lips. Now, for characters that have a nose hole here, you need to do a loop around that character as well. Okay, this was not selected for me. I need to select this as well and then cut. I select the UV shells again, move down this time. And now, when I cut out everything that I don't need, I think, I select this and unfold yet again. And now you can see that it is way better than before. What I think I can cut yet again for more freedom is the chin. To open this more and allow a better stretch for the UV. And so these are the basic cuts that I do. Now I can just do this, right? And there, the cuts on the head are hidden. The cut under the chin is not usually visible. You can actually cut like maybe this loop here if you want. That's not a bad choice, in my opinion. And then if you do that, it opens up a lot. And then, of course, you would need to cut here and then like this edge here, stitch together. And then this is looking way better. One more issue is the nose. My nose is really simplified, and I think I could get away with cutting this. Well, I'm not sure if I can get away with this. If I do that, if my model goes to higher polys, this might stretch too much. So I will hold out on cutting it here. Yeah, and you actually need to remember that, let's go here, UV shell, that the eyes are actually need to, the insides of the eyes need to stretch out because, well, let's go to UV shell. If I show you them, they are deformed because you need to unfold it into a 2D space, and this is overlaid over like this, and this has the same thing, same UV coordinates, and it's not correct. To fix it, just select the edges that are least visible, and these should not be visible at all. Now, let's select this edge. Select this edge. Then cut on UV, unfold. And now it is way better. Of course, it won't be visible but it can have problems, and you don't need problems. Let's unfold this. It is a simple unfold. Why I did this is that because it is going in and out, that's why I cut it to have a more precise UV coordinates. And like if I put it in the spot of the UV, you can see how much it changed. I was losing a lot of information. Now the ears, where I'm cutting ears, I can actually just isolate them. It's quite simple. I want to have like different uh, angles. You cut in a way where the angle is dramatic between these faces, and it is dramatic like here, here. You can say here or here, then here, and then see where they end. If you need to connect more, I will actually just cut it like this. Then the hole here, I want to have as a separate thing, like an eye hole. But here, for more unfold, I can cut it now to see where I am at. And then I can see that I select too many edges. You can see it goes to here. Let's not have that. Now I can see that I have a cut in the head, and I don't need that. But I can't really see it, right? I can see it. So I can leave it. What I mean by I don't see it because there's... Well, what I mean by I don't see it because there is here in the way, right? And I can hide it, so I can just easily cut it, and it is not in a way of anything at all, and it will make the UV look way better. If the hair don't hide the head, I wouldn't go to here. I would just leave where I did the cut here. Like even if there's no here, you shouldn't maybe do these lines here either. But since I can do that, I will. Then unfold these. Now for the mouth, let's unfold this. I think it is fine for now. I will see if there are issues when doing textures. I will change the UVs. But now there are no issues that I could see. So I don't need to do anything. Let's, like, I have an inside of a mouth, and I can do this. Let's select this, and it goes... Where does it go? Yeah, does it cut here? It does. I don't want to do that because lips are a sensitive place because we move. I don't want to have a cut in there. So let's just shift, double click, and it doesn't cut anymore. I cut in here. And as you can see, it's way better now. Yeah. If I do an UV shell, and I scale it up to be very big, I can see if anything is wrong, and it doesn't seem so. So I will leave it, make it small again. And this is a place where I can actually do something to have, like, let's say I have this one, the squares look like this, and these squares are different size, a really different size from the face. The face is a face has different size UV than the mouth, and it is an issue. And the ear also has different size. To fix that, there is one single button. Just select all of the UVs and you go to transform and you scroll down to pixel density and you simply press get. It gets the average size of everything you selected of UV sets, and you just press set. And now everything is of the size. You can press again get and just set, just in case, and that's it. It is pretty much done. Of course, I haven't checked the UV shells of the ear yet. Here, it seems it is pretty good, but you can see that there is a cut here, but this is the same shell. So I haven't cut something completely. And I know what. I can cut here. That's a good spot to cut. Then if you lose all of your UVs, you can see them. Make sure this button is not pressed. It's Control 1 when I press it. If it is red, it isolates. This isolated. And now I'm pretty happy with everything. I can just do another unfold because ear was not unfolded yet. And you see there it is really stacked on each other. For this not to be the case, you just press on stack shells, on stack. Everything is here. Everything seems nice. Everything seems even. I can move on to the body. I will do the same workflow for everything now. And now there is an issue with it. It's not unfolding nicely. In the chest area, in the hip area, well, for the hips, it is easy to fix. You just have to cut these edges here because we connect there and we just don't need to. You can double click everything, unfold. Now you can see it very well unfolded. Some of the squares don't look right, and it's mostly because of this. There is one more area where there are issues, and that this part for my model, I mean, it's not that bad. It's a visible spot here, but I think you can just select these edges, cut them, and unfold again. Now it is way better. You sacrifice a little bit of quality in this area maybe, but it is a little bit hidden for me with close, and it is not a focus. Then you can see there is a lot of issues here, and my model, it will be hidden, but I want to showcase for a portfolio. And well, I think there are two ways to do this. One way is just cut out everything. You can cut out like this, maybe, just like eyes. Unfold, move it, then unfold this. And this looks pretty good, minus this one. Then you just cut the bottom until here, maybe. Cut until here. And then unfold. This is better now. Also, you should make sure to try to unfold locally a little bit. So it's good. And right now, you can see this is pretty good. What I could change is cut out the hip area because it could deform my whole model. Right now, as I look at this, it doesn't look bad. And I will mention this again. I will cut this UV if I see that my model needs changes when I do the texture. For now, let's leave this as is. Let's move on to the arms. And let's focus on this one. This one is easier. And let's follow the same logic. Let's try selecting the edges that are likely not to be seen. And these are probably the ones that are below, like the armpit, from this one to this one, right? Just cut it now. And I can actually unfold the arm already because I don't need many cuts. This is good. Let's move on to the other side to finish it. It is cut until here. The UV is different because I changed it a little bit because the arm is cut off. Now I cut here. I can unfold, and do this. So it is similar. I orient shells to get same. And they are the same, basically. Now let's focus on the fingers. It is a tricky part. I will follow this here. Do this, select this, and shift select this, I believe. Yes. I'll cut it, select this, shift select this, cut. And now the tricky part. I unfold and it looks weird. Why does it look weird? Well, it's just how Maya thinks, and that's basically it. Now I will show you a trick that I learned from my juniors in university. Something like you need to select the whole finger, but it's hard to do that. Well, I did that, but if it's hard to do that, you can select this part here, right? And then hold shift and press the full stop button or arrow to the right button, and you select more edges. It doesn't affect anything else. And then unfold, and you see the finger going to the right direction already. You can actually press G to repeat the action. So it did unfold again, but nothing changed. So I will shift arrow key to the right again to get more of the UVs, and press G again, and it is pretty good for me. Let's move on to the other finger. I'm doing the same thing, pressing G, for unfold, so I don't need to go to this menu. And it is pretty good. Just unfold again. The fingers are opening up. I don't like that. Then this finger maybe. Unfold, fold again, play around. This is pretty good. This is starting looking great. I want to straighten this because it should be straight. Move here, and then I want to unfold this part. Everything, if I press unfold on everything, this gets back to where it was. So you need to make sure you don't do that. I think it's not completely finished, but it's fine. Now you can do that the same thing from this side of the palm. And then if you have nails and you think that you want to separate them, you can. It is not necessary, in my opinion. And it will help with how it unfolds. Let's do local unfolds. I'm pressing G to repeat the action. Control S to save. Make sure you save everything. Let's move on to the legs. It is a simple thing, you just need to cut them. But where? Well, as I said before, let's try to hide the cut. And it is in between the legs. And just cut and unfold. Orient. One stack. Orient. Right now, it goes like this, and that could cause some issues, but it is fine as far as I can see. Like you can actually cut here because there is a difference between this size here and this. You can cut in the ankle and unfold, and you see there's some relaxation here. And then if you unfold here, it changes a little bit, not much. If you think you don't need this, you don't need this. Okay, so I believe this is where I should stop. Personally, I will do some changes for this UV. What I should do, and layout, and let's get the size of everything. That size. You see, some things changed. It makes sense. It's fine. And if you want to do an automatic layout, you can just layout. And this is fine. Everything is in correct places. You just need to make sure that all of the shells go into correct directions, because this is the top of the leg. This goes down, but this is the bottom of, like, also would be the top of the leg. So these should go like this. So make sure that it is in that sense, and don't always be trusting on orient shell on stack shell, because we are not always doing the right thing. Like here the face is in the wrong direction, because when doing textures, when shells are not in the same direction, there are issues, and I recommend doing a manual placement like I do here. Of course, it takes up more space, right? So like insides of the eyes, mouth, they can be just any corner somewhere, and you actually can make them smaller because they are not visible and they just take up the space of the UV uh, coordinates. You can make them small if you don't plan to show off that. Also, another little tip is you can, if you want to find something and focus on uh, like one window, but you can't find in the other. For example, I don't know where the nails are in this. I can just select them here because I know where they are and focus on them in this window and find them. I know where everything is, so that's not an issue for me. If I work with someone other than me, I also want to make sure that UVs are placed together. So if we need to draw on them for some reason, we can look at this and be, oh, it works like this, and it's just easier for everyone. You can actually do UV sets, but like the head uh, in one UV set, and the others in like the body here, the arms here, the legs here, how you want that, but I don't see a need for that. Actually, I want to get this size and set everything size to that. And you can see nothing is overlapping these. There is a lot of space here. Like, it's fine, in my opinion. Like, everything seems nice. As I said before, I will work a little bit more on this. And actually, if you have multiple objects and they are the same, you should have the same UVs. And right now I see that there is a difference in this one. So I actually will show you how to fix this. You just need to select the first object, select the second one, go to mesh, then copy attributes, I believe, transfer attributes actually. And in this box, uh, everything should be the same from the default, but you need to just change components and just apply. And now every single one is the same. This is it for a tutorial. If you're interested in more content from me, please comment down below what you would like to see how I do. And if you like this, consider subscribing and liking. And thanks for watching. Bye.